begin. It's Teaching Tuesday where the magic's within. Unlock the words, let the stories unfold. In a world of letters, watch the wonders take hold. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll rise. On Teaching Tuesdays, we'll open our eyes. Every sound, every line brings us closer to turning our learners into super posers. Phonics and fun, on a journey we'll lead. With every Tuesday, we plant another seed. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll rise. On Teaching Tuesdays, we'll open our eyes. Step by step, we'll find our way. Through every challenge, come what may. In our group, you're never alone. Together we'll turn this skill into a stone. Come on in, let's learn and grow. Let's learn and grow. Build the future word by word, row by row, row by row. Together we'll read, together we'll read, together we'll rise, together we'll rise. Teaching Tuesdays, the skies.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Teaching Tuesdays with me, your host, Katina Taylor, the founder and CEO of Dreams KC, an education nonprofit where we empower parents with the tools they need to teach their children foundational literacy skills. Unfortunately, I am not with you all live today, but this is a pre-recorded video because you all are so important to me that if I can't be with you, if I have a schedule conflict, I will make sure to pre-record and get you the information you need to support your children in becoming confident and competent readers. So welcome. I have a lot to share with you all today. One, I'm not even going to tell you yet. The first thing I want to invite you to do is to hit that like button, to subscribe and follow our page on YouTube, of course. And if you are interested in joining our private Facebook group, you can go to Literacy the Dreams Way on Facebook and jump right in. Engage with other parents, share your successes, ask questions, bring up the challenges that your children or you might be having as you support your children in becoming confident and competent readers. So where am I today? Why am I pre-recording? I am at a hotel space right now, actually pulling double duty. So I will be welcoming some guests in and facilitating or helping facilitate a meeting event tonight. And so I wanted to make sure again that you have what you needed first and foremost before they arrive. That being said, also, there is so much information to share. I could not even upload my slides today. So I am going to do something different like I always do. You're still going to get it. I promise you for sure. I'm going to share that screen. Absolutely. And I'm going to make sure we get it up there. There it is. Yes, you guys. Let me go ahead and boop, bop, bam. I'm going to come back over, make sure my tool is tooling the way it needs to be, and it absolutely is. And we are going to dive right into this edition of Teaching Tuesdays. So we are here every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time in our private Facebook group, on our YouTube page, and on LinkedIn. So in any of those mediums or on any of those platforms, you can find me waiting for you to join me, to drop your comments, to ask your questions, ensure that we are partnering to build confident and competent readers. You know the drill, y'all. So I have some exciting news. We have been talking about this for I don't know how long now, but we now have our website up and running. So if you go to www.dreamsway, dkcbooks.com. Now you will find not only our short vowel decodables on the website, but you'll also find Kyla Meets the Bees and the very first book that we ever did, introducing or unlocking consonant sounds. So it is extremely important that they know not only the short vowels, the long vowels, the vowel teams, the digraphs, all the things, right? But they also need those consonant sounds in isolation. That's what our very first book teaches, and it teaches it in a very unique way. So scan that QR code, visit www.dkcbooks and make your purchase. And remember that any books that you purchase, you can buy them individually, you can buy them in book sets, that all of that flows back into Dreams KC so that we can continue supporting our parents as they support their children in becoming confident and competent readers. So I'm so happy. I wish I had a drum or a party favor to make some noise and introduce this. So you'll see more about what we have on that website. Go on over. You don't have to wait on me, but you will see more information coming out on all of our social media platforms so that you know what's there. All right. Yes. So we're so excited. This is episode 53 of Teaching Tuesday. So excited to present this information, as I always am. You all know that I eat, sleep, and breathe literacy. And so some of you that may not know who I am, let me just stop, take a breath, relax, and tell you all who Katina is and why you should be listening to her around literacy, right? So let me just dive in and tell you this, that I've been in the education space for 25 years, 15 of those spent in the classroom with students. I started out teaching middle school English language arts, then I taught first graders, and then I taught high schoolers. So I have taught all across the K through 12 continuum, teaching children how to read with success. In addition to that, I have tutored children all 25 years. I continue to tutor children, but most importantly, I support parents. I teach parents. I engage with parents to teach them to do what I do. You often want to know, as parents, as early career educators, how do we truly teach children and move children along their literacy journey? And because I've had such great success with that, I thought, why not share this information with parents? You are the first and most important teachers of children, and I want to ensure that you have the tools to make your children confident and competent readers. So what are we talking about now? We spent all of 2024 talking about our youngest literacy learners. When 2025 kicked in, I wanted parents and educators to understand that we were not leaving our adolescent literacy learners behind. So when 2025 kicked off, the new season of Teaching Tuesday started, I wanted to make a commitment, and I have made a commitment to ensure that our adolescent readers have exactly what they need, the support they need to also shrink, close, eliminate any literacy gaps that they may be experiencing, right? Addressing any literacy challenges that they may have. It is not okay just for us to zero in on our youngest learners as if those 4th through 12th graders, our adolescent literacy learners, don't have challenges themselves. The data tells us that they do, and we want to ensure that we pay attention to them as well. Now, that does not mean for those that have those littles, is what I call them, right? Those pre-K to 3rd graders, that you can't benefit from these Teaching Tuesday sessions as well. Because the skills are the skills. They don't necessarily change. What does change, however, is the materials, the supplies, sometimes the processes that we use to teach students depending on their age, right? So I just wanted to make sure I made that clear for you all. And I want to dive into this content that we have for you, how to assess fluency at home for adolescent readers. So we have been talking about how we identify gaps, challenges that adolescent literacy learners have We've looked at what are the things that we should be seeing, or what would we observe, right? Then we wanted to assess them. So we start breaking down the assessment pieces, and now we're assessing fluency to address the most common challenges that adolescent literacy learners may face. So go back and look at some of our prior episodes. You'll get all that information tonight. Today, we're talking about fluency for our adolescent readers. That's what we're talking about on episode 53. So let's dive right on in. What is reading fluency? And remember, this applies to all of our readers. We want all of them to be fluent readers, right? But that 4th through 12th grade group of learners, they may have learned the basics, but they may be struggling with comprehension or fluency. And we want to ensure that you have what you need to support them in conquering this particular challenge. So when we talk about fluency, what we're talking about is accuracy. Reading words correctly, decoding words correctly. We want to talk about smooth reading, or the rate at which they read, right? We also want to talk about prosody. So you hear that term. You all that have been with me for a while know that I use academic vocabulary, and then I explain to you what it means, so that when you interact with teachers, literacy coaches, tutors, administrators, etc., you can participate in that conversation and be a true advocate for your children, right? So no one is speaking over your head. You are understanding the information that they are presenting to you. So prosody, that basically means reading with expression. It means, how are we skipping commas? Are we pausing at the commas? Are we stopping at the periods? Do you hear a curiosity in our voice when we get to a question mark? So we are reading with expression and phrasing. And then, of course, comprehension is also a part of fluency, and we need to be aware of that. Are we understanding or making meaning from what we have read? So that's what reading fluency is. I hope you all understand that. Screenshot it, take notes, whatever you need to do to remember when you hear fluency that these are the things that we are talking about. Okay? All right. So why does fluency matter, right? So fluency is needed in every subject area. I don't care if it's science, social studies, English language arts, math. There is some reading. And the more we increase the fluency, the accuracy, the speed at which our students can read, then the better they generally will perform across all subject matter areas, right? And we know that when they perform better, what does that do? That increases their confidence. They're motivated to read more. That builds their competence. And of course, we know when they have confidence, when they have competence, when they're performing well, that comprehension rate continues to increase, whether they're reading fiction and or nonfiction. They are understanding and able to make meaning out of what they read, and that is the ultimate goal. All right? So fluency really is the bridge between decoding and comprehension. All right? So that's why it matters. So additional reasons why fluency matters are put in a different way. We talked about comprehension. It is a lifelong skill, right? Everyday reading task, be it at work, as entrepreneurs, as college students, etc. They need to be able to read fluently. That builds their confidence. Of course, it lends itself to academic success. And the more they read, the more words that they encounter, the more robust that their vocabulary becomes, and the better their writing becomes. The more fluent they are as readers, the more they understand what they read, the better writers they become. And if you know anything about me, we've talked a lot about between the connection or intersectionality between reading and writing, spelling, right? So the more they read, the better writers they become. The more they write and spell, the better readers they become. They're applying all of these skills together simultaneously, all right? So fluency plays a significant part. Of course, fluency, as we've already said, it supports reading comprehension. You may ask me how. Well, it frees the brain to focus on comprehension. It's less energy on word calling and attempting to decode, right? The lift is not there. It's more on understanding what they read. So they are shifting as they become more confident and competent from learning to read, and then they are shifting into reading to learn. And it also helps them with their attention to detail. They're able to retain the information that they are reading because they are not so focused on decoding, but they are, again, focused on understanding the text. So the more fluent they become, they capture and retain more information. Again, we talked about building confidence, right? And we know that as they increase their confidence, their competence also rises. They want to do more reading. Then they find text that they enjoy. They will increase their reading for enjoyment, and they will avoid less. You will hear them say, I don't like reading a lot less than before because they are having success. We're celebrating that success, and they realize that they don't like reading. Ask yourself, think about, is the reason why they don't like it because they don't do it well? That is a struggle or a chore, or it is difficult for them. Or could it be that we haven't given them high quality text that interests them? They haven't participated in picking the text that they want to read. They haven't found that story, that piece of fiction and or nonfiction that really just opens them up, that flips the switch, and they fall in love with reading. Think about your favorite book and what book did that for you. All right. So then we talk about improving academic success. Remember, we already talked about reading across curriculum areas, subject matter areas, but it also assists them in being able to understand more complex instructions, right? Directions. And this is really important as they get ready to take standardized tests within school, the K-12 school system, and or think about driver's license. Think about college entrance exams. Think about assessments that they do when they are applying for jobs, right? Assessments, complex instructions, being able to do the job once they get it. Reading is everywhere. And so we want to make sure that they can understand, comprehend what they are reading. And of course, it allows them to absorb information much more quickly when they read with fluency. It's not choppy. They have an accurate rate and speed. They can determine how to use the colons, the semicolons, the commas, all the punctuation that is present. It assists them in meaning making. All right. And of course, it enhances their vocabulary. You read more, you're exposed to more words, more language, right? More words are seen in text. And so the vocabulary that we all have, the more we read, it grows naturally and organically. And we can express ourselves more appropriately, I would say, or in a better way because our vocabulary skills have increased. All right. Hope that makes sense to you all. It ultimately prepares our kiddos for real life. Real life. So we will have to text, we will have to email, we will have to write reports, we may do research, we may be public speakers, right? We have to absorb information and give information. And the only way in which we can do that is if we are confident and competent readers. And a big part of that is our ability to be fluent in what we read and take in, and then share that out as well. Okay. And last but certainly not least, it encourages lifelong learning. You say fluency? Really? It does. Early fluency sets the stage for later improved fluency. And it, of course, becomes a foundation for solid reading habits as we go. And of course, then reading for pleasure increases. And we want to consume more as learners. We want to take in more. We explore more. The things we don't know or we want to learn more about, we'll be less hesitant of doing the work to actually explore and find out more about things all around us. And of course, that sets us up for lifelong success, more opportunities, the ability to thrive in our own lives and participate in our own lives, not just survive. Okay. So I want you all to take all of that with you. The bottom line when it comes to fluency is that really it is a key to unlock meaning. And it is not just about speed, it is about accuracy. So I want you to keep that top of mind as we talk more about how to assess it, and then make decisions based on what we learn in the assessment. Of course, it shifts them from learning how to read to reading to learn. And then I love the fact that we say it helps them actually read to lead, right? It increases their ability to communicate verbally and in writing. And of course, that contributes to a fullness of a lived experience, thriving, participating civically, accessing healthcare, housing, etc. Believe it or not, literacy has a direct correlation between many of these, amongst many of these things. Employability, unemployment or underemployment, access to higher education, right? Excelling on your job, right? All of these things can link back to literacy skills. So I want you to understand and know that there's a correlation between the quality of life one lives and their ability to acquire language literacy. Okay. All right, so let's dive in. I've set the tone, I've set the stage. I kind of gave you some background information of why this is important, why we should be assessing it, and then supporting our children, our students in becoming more fluent. Then I want you to actually dive into, or we're going to dive into, how do we assess it? Now, I always tell parents this because they will say, well, the schools assess it. Maybe. Do they do it well? Don't you want to know for yourself? And what if your child was sick that day, tired that day, distracted that day at school? When you create the environment at home, when you do the assessment, it may look very different. The outcome may be very different. And then that sets you up to have a real conversation with your child's school, their teacher, their tutor, etc., and really become a partner in setting up a plan for them to become confident and competent readers. So what do we do at home? Here are the steps. You choose a passage. Generally, it's going to be a grade level passage that's 100 to 300 words, not a whole lot. All right. It's a code read. This is a passage that they have never been exposed to before. Okay. You want to time it 1 minute, and you want to track some things. And I'm going to talk to you about what you're tracking, what you're looking for. And last but certainly not least, you want to check for understanding. Can they recall what they read? Can they summarize what they read? Can they answer questions about what they have read? Okay. So one of the things I want to gift to you before we ever get started is this. Scan this QR code or go to this link. I have already curated some reading passages for your children if they are in grades 4 through 12. They are separated out by grade level. Yes, they are. They are the 100 to 300 words limit already. And then you have 2 different files. You have one file that is just the reading passages. You can print those off, give them to your child. That's what they read. Then there's another set where you can actually write down the eras, the time that it took them to read the passage, etc. So that's kind of what you have in front of you while you are listening to them read and observing them read. So scan the QR code, go to this link. I've already curated the passages for you to assess their fluency at home, right? All right, so I wanted to make sure you had that. So you don't have to worry about trying to find the passages, a textbook, anything like that. I already have them. And I know that your children have never seen these passages. So when we say do a code read and they don't need to be familiar with the text already, I know they haven't seen these at all. Okay, here we go. So what are you tracking when you're assessing their fluency? Well, you're looking at accuracy. Accuracy always trumps speed. We want to look for the total number of words that they've read, and we want to note, did they substitute words that weren't there? Did they add words that weren't there? Did they leave out a word or delete a word, right? And did those errors, because those are all errors, mistakes, right? Did they change the meaning of the text? That is really, really important to note. Was it a significant error? Then you want to look at that rate. Remember, you're going to let them read for 1 minute, and you're going to say how many words did they read in that 1 minute. It doesn't matter if they got them right or wrong, how many total words, and we'll go through the calculation in a minute. You want to listen for that prosody, right? Are they reading with expression? Are they using punctuation, phrasing, etc.? And then can they recall, summarize, and answer questions about what they read? So these are the components. These are the things that we are tracking: accuracy, rate, prosody, comprehension. Okay? Those are the things we're looking for when we are talking about fluency. All right, so let's keep it moving. So how do you calculate the WCPM, words correct per minute? Let me say that again. WCPM equals words correct per minute. So remember, we already picked the passage. You don't have to worry about that because I gave them to you. You're going to set a timer. Now, I'll put stopwatch. Who uses that? Pull out that phone, go to your clock app. There's a timer or a stopwatch in there. You're going to set it for 1 minute. Boop, bop, bam. You're listening, observing, and tracking while your child reads the passage aloud. You want to count the total words that they've read after that 1 minute. Even if they made mistakes, we want the total number of words read. Then you subtract the errors. Count the number of words that they misread, they skipped, or they substituted incorrectly. And you want to subtract those errors from the total words read, and that gives you the words correct per minute. You guys see that? Screenshot this, jot the notes down, listen to me explain it again, or come back and view it again. That's okay. Okay? So then I'm going to give you this example. So say I give this passage, right? And a child reads 120 words in a minute, but they make 5 mistakes. They skipped them, mispronounced them, or something like that. Well, I'm going to take the 120 words that they read. I'm going to take out 5 because they made 5 errors. And the words correct per minute is 115. 120 minus 5, 115. Basic math. Why is this important? Because words correct per minute shows how accurately and quickly your child can read, which of course helps us understand their fluency level. If their words correct per minute is below this expected range for their grade level, now remember, I don't believe in hard and fast rules. It's just the baseline. It's a guide that may indicate, and you heard me say may indicate, that they need extra support with decoding or fluency skills. How do we know if it's decoding? Well, in a couple of episodes back of Teaching Tuesday, we talked about assessing those phonics and phonemic awareness skills. So we'll already know we'll be able to look at them in totality and determine where they need that extra support, what's causing them to struggle with their fluency. Is it those phonemic awareness and phonics skills, or is it something about the text? Is it the grade level text, right? Is it too difficult for them? Is it frustrating for them? Is it uninteresting to them? What is causing the problem? Do they need some skills around punctuation? We'll be able to identify by assessing them and figuring it out, okay? So I also talked about prosody, right? We're looking at prosody. So I want to make sure you understand why it's important, what it is even, right? So it's really about natural sound. Reading should sound like talking. It's a natural flow with accuracy and speed. It should have pitch. It should have pacing, right? If different characters are speaking, we should be able to tell that. Different punctuation is being used, we should be able to adjust to the punctuation that's being used. Pausing, right? And then emphasis. Are we stressing important words? If it's bolded, are we paying extra attention to it? Those types of things. So it really is about reading with expression and feeling, bringing the words, I say lifting them off the page with your voice. That's what prosody is, okay? So I just want you to be clear about what it is, what we're looking for when we're asking about prosody, reading with expression, okay? So why does it matter? Well, for example, if you have a sentence that says, I can't believe it. Okay, you read the words, but what if I say, I can't believe it? That's a totally different way of reading that text. It brings you into the story in a different way, right? And so prosody shows comprehension. And of course, like I said, it brings the text to life. And that's what we're looking for. It aids us in better understanding the text, okay? So that's why we want to emphasize to our children as they are growing in their literacy journey, that prosody or expression, reading with expression, is extremely important. All right. So benchmarks for our middle and high schoolers, I should have put our upper elementary as well. It's on here, but I just want you to I should have put in the title, right? Our adolescent literacy learners, because it encompasses 4th through 12th grade. So when we're looking for accuracy, right, we'll say their accuracy is good. It's okay if they have 5 or fewer errors per 100 words. We'll say they need some work if it's between 6 and 10 errors, and they are struggling if it's above 10 errors, right? Their accuracy. Now, words correct per minute, when we look at grade 4, they should be about 120 to 150 words correct per minute, right? Generally, our reading passages remember, it's between 100 and 300 words in a passage. So if they're between 120 and 150 words correct per minute for grade 4, they're doing well. And you'll see 5th grade, you'll see 6th through 8th, and you'll see 9th through 12th. I'm not going to read all of them. You can see them, right? And then we're looking for comprehension. We're looking for 90% accuracy or better. So remember, I talk about mastery a lot, right? And so mastery means that they can demonstrate independent understanding of a skill or a concept, right? 90% accuracy or better. So that's what we're looking for when we talk about mastery of a skill, independently demonstrating their understanding. Okay, so we're looking, can they recall? Can they summarize? Can they answer questions about the text? That's what we're looking for. That comprehension, it is a high standard. It's a high standard because it means so much, and that's the ultimate goal when it comes to reading. All right. So I'm going to skip this one because I explain it better on the next slide. So here's a sample assessment, right? They get a 200-word passage or excerpt from some book or a passage. They read it, we time it, right? And they get 8 out of the 200 words. They make errors, right? 8 errors out of the 200, which means on average, they miss 4 words or they make 4 errors per 100 words. So their accuracy is good, but it needs some more work to get them to mastery. Now we time them, right? 2 minutes. Their rate was 100 correct words per minute. But this is a 6th, 7th, or 8th grader, so they are below the benchmark. The prosody, they were monotone, right? No real expression. They ignored commas, meaning they zipped right past them. They didn't pause and take that breath. It needs work. And then we know that all of these things impacted their comprehension. Well, they were only able to answer 3 out of 5 questions correctly as it related to that particular passage. So they had a 60% accurately. Partial understanding, but they are not at 90%. They need some more work. So that's how we can assess and then draw from what they have done on a fluency assessment. Okay. I just wanted to kind of give you this example. So if fluency is strong, we want to celebrate that. We want to acknowledge the achievement, right? We can go on to begin to introduce them to not just that traditional fictional text, but nonfiction, poetry, plays, speeches. They're ready for that. Graphic novels that tell a story through visuals, through illustrations. And of course, like I said, nonfiction, topics of interest. We want to introduce them to different genres of text. They always start out with fiction. We generally like stories, right? Just people, human beings. And that's the way in which we engage our youngest readers. But as they build that fluency, that comprehension, we want to introduce them to different genres. So graphic novels, plays, speeches, poetry, etc., and actually start digging down into realistic fiction, historical fiction, etc. All right. Now, if they need some work in their area of fluency, here's some things that you can do. One, you want to do repeated readings of the same text. You read it. Then you all read it together, what we call choral reading. Then you let them try it again independently because they've had some practice and some support. If you have a child that is struggling with fluency, you don't necessarily have the time, or maybe you also have some challenges in your literacy journey. Your confidence is not there. Well, audiobooks are a great tool. And in several sessions ago, I actually shared some audio tools with you all specifically for children. Epic is one that has some free books on there, and they can actually follow along with the text, like it highlights the text as it's reading, so they can hear how it should be read, and then they can go back and read along with it. When I was in first grade, I recorded stories with a tape recorder, and I created listening centers for my kids, so they would sit there around the tape recorder, the tape player. They would put on some headphones and they would hear me reading it, and they were reading along with their own book. If you want to do that, I know think times have changed, but there are ways in which you can do that as well. Reader's theater is also amazing to practice fluency. I love the you read to me, I read to you, where one person reads a line and another person reads a line. They have reader's theater scripts at all different reading levels. I don't know if we have, oh no, we do have decodable readers theaters now. So I will actually share in our private Facebook group some reviews of some of those as well. If your child is a budding actor or actress, they love to play things out, readers theater will be really engaging and fun for them. And then of course, chunking practice. So instead of reading a whole sentence, the red dog ran down the street, you might want to say the red dog ran down the street. So they get used to not just reading single words, but we start having them read phrases, and eventually we can expand to them reading entire sentences to mastery, right? Again, it increases their fluency. Reading single words to phrases to whole sentences process, right? And every child is different. Some might not need from single word to phrases to sentences. They may get it. The light bulb just turns on. Others may have challenges. So we want to move at their pace and what works for them. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to also point out is common mistakes that parents make as we assess them, as we look at our children as readers. Some will focus only on speed. Well, they read really fast. Yeah, but they skip the periods and the commas. They read so fast, they didn't understand anything that they read. So that is not what we want, right? I want you to understand that reading fast does not equal fluency. It is accuracy first. Okay. Also, sometimes parents will just grab a book off their shelf and the text is too difficult, too challenging, too hard for them. So they reach their frustration level. We never even get to really assessing fluency because they are struggling with the decoding because the book is too hard, right? And then forgetting to tie fluency to comprehension. If they are reading the text with expression and the words are correct, don't just stop there. We need to ask questions about what they read. We need to ask them to summarize it. We need to ask them to retell it. All of those things put together equal comprehension. Are they making meaning from what they have read? So I don't want you all to make those mistakes when you are assessing the fluency. I want to point those things out and make sure you're really, really clear about them. All right. So that's what I have for you all tonight. I want to remind you to visit www.dkcbooks.com, pick up, visit, learn about our decodable books that we have available. If you haven't yet taken our book access survey, I encourage you to go do that. We need to determine if we have book deserts in Kansas City so that we can allocate resources efficiently and effectively. And of course, join us next Tuesday for another episode of Teaching Tuesday, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, YouTube, LinkedIn, and our private Facebook group, Literacy, the Dreams Away. That being said, I encourage you all to always ask questions, email me, ask for clarity, share your successes, share any challenges you may be having. And as I always say, y'all know I'm going to say it. Let's get lit, y'all. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being with us for another episode of Teaching Tuesday.
Oh, welcome in. Grab a seat. Let's begin. It's Teaching Tuesday where the magic's within. Unlock the words, let the stories unfold. In a world of letters, watch the wonders take hold.